Well, welcome everyone to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're on Saga 960 AM. I wanted to bring back someone who I've interviewed on the show before, who's a unbelievably good guy. Imran Hasan is his name. He is the former chair of the Board of Trade Growth Committee. He's very involved in the local community, primarily the Streetsville area. He's run for city council in the past. He's been an active community activist. And what he did is he noticed that there was a real problem with local stores, restaurants, and other merchants, and he came up with this plan to support them. And so I wanted him to come in and explain his initiative. Imran, how are you doing?
Good afternoon, Brian. Thank you for having us on your show. Thanks for allowing us this opportunity to share the story. We're staying healthy. We're staying positive. I know there's a lot of negativity around this COVID-19, but we're looking for those silver linings. And this story started back in February when the state of emergency was issued in Ontario and across Canada, and specifically Mississauga. And as a result of that, we started to see the forced closure of some businesses. And the conversation started with some business owners who said, we don't know how long this is going to last, and we're not sure if we're going to make it through this. So it got me thinking, and I knew something had to be done.
And what is it that you're doing?
So the initiative was named HoodStrong, and that was a collaboration with my partners in crime, who I will introduce. But I'll give you the backstory.
Introduce them, because we can see them all on the screen.
Oh, fantastic. So first, I'd like to introduce Chandu. Chandu is the founder of STEM One. It's a business that does coding and programming. And Chandu Ande and I know each other from the Win Fitness Club, which is a club located in Mississauga, and where we play pickleball together. So that's how I met Chandu. Chandu, go ahead. I don't know if Chandu can hear us, or maybe he's muted.
Yeah, thank you, Imran. It was a wild journey that we have been going through right now, and I've been doing a business where we teach coding to kids. And when I met Imran and he asked me about this initiative where he needed some help with it, so that's how I started coming on board for HoodStrong, and that's all.
Excellent.
Thank
Who
you.
else?
And the other partner in crime is Rob Noor. He is the founder of My Charity. Rob and I connected just in February, and you can call this serendipity if you want, Brian. But we were organizing a hockey tournament in benefit for the security industry, and our charity of choice was Crime Stoppers. And that's where I met Rob. He was quietly sitting behind the counter, working on his computer. And you know how shy it can be. I went and introduced myself, and one thing led to another. And he introduced me and the wonderful work that he does at My Charity. So I'll let Rob tell us about what he does.
So thank you very much, Imran, for that introduction. Brian, pleasure to meet you. One of the things that we do is that we're a platform that helps nonprofit do a lot of fundraising. So think of it as an ERP system for nonprofits to manage all of their back offices. Right now, we have approximately over 5,800 nonprofits using us between Canada and the US. And and really what we do is that we help them manage all of their day-to-day activities, manage all of their fundraising, operations, accounting, you name it.
And so, Imran, what is it that the three of you have gotten together to do?
So HoodStrong is an initiative that was created as a collaboration to help support independent local businesses through the sale of a virtual gift certificate online. And when a purchase of the gift certificate is made, a percentage of the proceeds is donated to the local food bank. It's that simple. It's the local community helping support the local business community, and at the same time giving a hand up to the community in need. It's a win-win-win all around.
So it's a app or a website where you buy gift certificates, and you buy gift certificates for local businesses, which helps them from a cash flow standpoint. Obviously now helps us longer term, because we'll have the gift certificate and a portion goes to the food bank.
You better believe it. Yep.
Sort of like pre-financing my future purchases and helping a guy out.
Call it bridge financing, community-based.
Community-based bridge financing, CBF. Community CBBF, community-based bridge financing. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. We're just creating as we go.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take a break for messages, get right back to you and hear more about CBBF, the community-based bridge financing. What's it called? Headstrong?
HoodStrong.
HoodStrong. Sounds good. Much better than being headstrong. Stay with us, everyone. We'll come right back. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. We're chatting with Imran, Hasan, and two of his buddies that have gotten together to launch something called HoodStrong, which is an app or a website that allows us to buy gift certificates to some of our favorite local restaurants and merchants and donate some of that money in the gift certificate to the local food bank. Imran, how'd you come up with this idea? Sounds innovative and fantastic.
Well, I've always had a acumen for business, and this story started as a negative, story, but it turned into a positive outcome, and it was all because of my next door neighbor, who's in the tourism business, and when the state of emergency was declared and his business was forced to close, he reached out to me and expressed, his concerns, and he and I often had conversations in the past about various different topics, and business was always the one that we started and finished on. And I noticed something about Tony. He was really not well. He was mentally, he was not the same. He wasn't the happy-go-lucky Tony who I knew. And after seeing Tony transform into this, charming, happy-go-lucky, intelligent, funny guy, to a fellow who turned into someone really, really quiet and introverted, I realized he was going through some mental illness, and unfortunately, that turned into depression. He ended up succumbing to a stroke. He ended up in the hospital, and his last few days were spent in the hospital. So I knew that something had to be done in the spirit and honor of Tony, who ran a business for over 30 years in the tourism sector. And it would just be a shame that if we couldn't help other businesses survive this COVID-19 emergency. So this was just ideas, brought together, bounced off of people like Chandu and Rob Lay to say, how can we make this into some kind of a platform? And it emerged into what it is today, and that's HoodStrong.
Awesome. So one of the other guys, can you tell me, what it is that you've created then?
I'll go with it, and then actually it will go well with Rob. So when Imran came to me with this idea and he said, hey, can we do that? I was coming up with all these ideas because of my programming background. I was telling, okay, we can create a nice website where it will have a map with all these different businesses that are there that would be in need of cash flow right now during this time. So we were discussing about those situations. And if you think of a model like this, like an application or a website like this, it will take a long time to come through. And when we were talking about it, that's when Imran talked about Rob, when he said, hey, I know somebody who's actually doing something similar. Let's see if we can pull him in and see if he can help us. So that's how we went on to My Charity, which helped us get from the idea stage to a product stage very quickly. And we were able to successfully onboard a lot of businesses because of My Charity. So,
and how many businesses have you onboarded so far?
I think it's around 18 to 20 businesses around.
And are they all in Mississauga or Streetsville, or where are they located?
Imran can say better about this one. What do you think, Imran?
Yeah, so the businesses are primarily spread out throughout Mississauga. We've had people from Brampton and Oakville and Etobicoke also express an interest to join. And so we have invited them to also join this pilot. It is a pilot project. So once we prove the concept here in Mississauga, the long game, Brian, is to launch this platform to include every community across Canada. So
and is it an app or a website, or what is it?
It is I'll call it a platform. It is a website. But I'm not that technical. I think maybe Rob, you might be able to give it the proper definition it deserves.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It is a platform. slash the website. It's where people can go and actually do a lot of peer-to-peer fundraising. In this case here, if you can think of it as GoFundMe, but on steroids, and where people have a lot more control.
GoFundMe on steroids. Sounds good.
In short, that's what it is. It simplifies things for people, and instead of building a website, which will take a lot of time, this ramps up everything a lot more faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so you've then got this ability to compartmentalize it for Mississauga, Etobicoke, Winnipeg, or whatnot, or is it going to be one big website and you see everything across the whole country?
You can do both. You can compartmentalize by cities and so forth. There's a search options where you can search exactly the businesses that you're looking to support. All of those options are available. I believe the pilot at the beginning will be concentrated heavily in Mississauga region, Peel region, and then slowly expand it over to other areas.
And you say it's got some social networking aspect to it? Because, I've seen, there's a Milton Strong Facebook account. There's an Oakville, I don't know whether it's called Strong or something, but some of these local Facebook groups have ended up becoming really helpful to provide information as well as support for the local businesses.
Absolutely. It has a component where it's very social, where people can actually share their stories, share which organization is supporting with their friends. So once you make a purchase of the certificate, you can actually share that online with some of your friends using all the major social media channels, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it.
So what's the long-term plan here, guys? You've got 24 companies on board. How quickly can you onboard others, or are you just going to go with this pilot for a while?
Well, I think, Brian, if I can chime in, this is sort of a personal network of contacts, just reaching out to people, asking if they would, consider joining this initiative. And so far, anyone I've talked to about this, they haven't hesitated. We've just onboarded, or will be in the process of onboarding Palma Pasta in Mississauga, a very established and a very highly successful business. We've just finished onboarding Win Fitness, Cabin, where you've been and I've been to, and we probably all need to go again to get our haircut. Restaurants like Alioli, like Capra's Kitchen.
I don't know, Imran. I'm looking at your beard and I'm thinking you need a bit of a shave more than a haircut, buddy.
Hey, listen, I'm just going with the flow right now. I'm calling this my quarantine beard.
It's getting pretty long, buddy.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to maintain the best I can. But the idea, Brian, is to start in Mississauga and just expand it. And I think it's best to work with a group of trusted a network of contacts who can give us the information we need as feedback, so that we can tweak the necessary changes and then be able to just take it from where it is now to the next level. And we've got some testimonials coming from people who would like to share their thoughts and views on this, and that'll be rolled out over the next few days.
Well, I think it's a great idea. Now, who is the charity that the monies go to that you say a cut goes to the food bank? What to explain that?
Okay, so the process works like this. If, Brian, you would like to purchase a $50 gift card for Cabin, $40 would go to the Cabin directly. That fund gets directed from my charity's escrow account right to Cabin. And $10 would then be transferred to the Mississauga Food Bank. So the Mississauga Food Bank is our charity partner in this pilot project. And as we grow the initiative in other communities, we can identify the similar partner in Brampton, in Oakville, and Burlington, and in Toronto, and so on and so forth, all around GTA and across Canada. And
are you taking a cut of the money at all?
That's a great question, Brian. This is a benevolent effort. My friends, my colleagues, my partners have all agreed that we are not interested in profiting from this any of these transactions. We're doing this purely from a benevolent standpoint.
Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations, and thanks so much for doing that. Tell me what some of the responses from the merchants. Are they saying, no, we don't want to give the money to feedback, we want all the money ourselves, or what's their response?
Well, the food bank obviously is in great need at this state of emergency, and the businesses have been just overwhelmed with demands to support their local community, and oftentimes they're looking for ways to do that. And And when this opportunity and platform was presented to them, they were excited and didn't hesitate a bit.
And if people want to get on the platform, how do they go about contacting you and getting on that platform?
Well, it's very simple. The website is HoodStrong.ca. And when you land on the page, you'll just go to the top right-hand corner. If you're a merchant and you'd like to join, there's a registration link. And if you'd like to purchase and you're just the average Joe who wants to make a purchase like you and I, you can just scroll down through the bottom of that website. You'll start to see a listing of all the different businesses, from barber shops to restaurants to bakeries to dry cleaners to there's even a stunt driving school. There's just all kinds. We're looking for, you know, the diversity of businesses. We don't want this to be a restaurant website. There's already a platform for that.
How do you keep control of your gift certificates? You know, I'm one of these guys that goes to different events and I buy gift certificates all the time, and then I lose them. And I got, you know, a whole bunch of paper gift certificates on my desk, and I can never find them when I go to the restaurant. This last week, I went to a place and I said, I know I have a gift certificate for you, but I can't find it.
I think that's a Rob question. Rob, maybe you can chime in.
Yeah, so what we do is that we email the gift certificates to the purchasers. So what's going to happen is that at the end of the month, right after you make your purchase, you'll get the gift certificate emailed to you. You'd have it there. If you lost it and misplaced it, it gets emailed back to you, a copy of it, so you have it. So
I think you should have like a bank, you know, on your app or on your website of this is how much you've got outstanding in each one of your current gift certificate accounts.
Absolutely. So we actually have that. So when you log in to make a purchase, you have the option to create an account for yourself. And if you create that account as a user, then you can go back and see all of the transactions you made yourself. So that will be there for you.
Well, you know, guys, I think this is an incredible initiative. I want to thank you very much for doing it. We're going to take a break for messages, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask each one of these gentlemen, you know, why they're interested in helping out the community, because I think that's an interesting analysis in today's market, today's storm that we're going through, this pandemic of COVID-19. Anyway, stay with us. We're going to come back with these gentlemen for Headstrong in just a minute. Stay with us.
So you can see on my screen.
Beauty.
Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting with Imran, Hasan, and Rob Noor, and sorry, I can't remember your name.
Shandu.
Sandu?
Shandu. Yeah.
Chandu, I apologize, about their initiative called HoodStrong, and Rob's volunteered to show us the website. Rob, explain the website if you could to us.
So the platform itself, you're once you get into www.hoodstrong.com, you come here, and what you can see right off the bat is that information about the project itself. You can watch a video that kind of walk you through the entire process.
Support local businesses during COVID-19.
That's it.
Easily help build resilience in your community.
Absolutely. And this explains the process from purchasing the gift certificate to the local businesses, and as well as the donation to the charity.
It's a very colorful, easy to maneuver in website.
Absolutely, yes. And then here we talk about in terms of what we do and give you a bit of information, FAQ, things you need to know. The last part is really important here at the bottom where you can see the process. So you can see an example of what happens here. And then as you scroll down, you start seeing all the different businesses that you can
Okay, so let's talk about some of them. So Paramount Fine Foods, Stonehooker Brewery, Cabin Barber and Gentleman Supply, Capra's Kitchen,
Yes.
Supermoon Japanese Style Cheesecakes. Never heard of them. That'd be fun. What's the Feed?
Feed is a brand new restaurant that opened up in Port Credit, and their claim to fame is the best rotisserie chicken.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, so they just opened up next to, I'm going to say just right downtown in Port Credit.
D-Spot Dessert Cafe. Where's that?
They have a location in Etobicoke and a new one opening up in Mississauga right at Heartland. And they're obviously known for desserts.
And Fired Up, one of my favorite places to go for. They've got this huge, what do they call it? Tomahawk steak.
Yes. Don't talk about food right now, Brian. I'm fasting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize about that. But look, you know, Paramount Fine Foods, Capra's Kitchen, The Feed, Fired Up. You're talking, D-Spot, you're talking about food, not me.
That's true. That's true. You're going to have to change the topic there, Rob.
Okay, so who have you got that's non-food?
Now, let's go to non-food. Let's see who else is there.
Cabin.
Yeah. I believe there's a brewery, Hooker Brewery.
Stone Hooker, yeah.
Yeah, but Imran's not allowed to drink either, are you?
That's right. So we're not drinking or eating right now.
How many
So-
more days have you got left in Ramadan?
3 days.
3 days. And then the big party?
Well, as you know, there's not any big parties happening this year until further notice. Even congregations, whether we're going to church or synagogue or the mosque, it's not really happening. We're doing everything virtually, and unfortunately, whether it was St. Patrick's Day or whether it was Easter or now Eid, we're going to be celebrating quietly at home with our families.
Well, I wish you a good Ramadan, and you know what? You've been kind enough to invite me to a couple of iftar dinners in the past, and it's too bad. I'm missing attending them this year because they were always a great deal of fun. Maybe I could ask each one of you, and Rob, if you want to unshare the screen, that'd be fine. Why is it that you're getting involved in supporting the community? What is motivating you here? Imran, do you want to start?
I'd be happy to. Well, while we're on the topic of faith, I mean, it's very important in our faith to give to charity, and community building is something that I really enjoy doing. And so when you put together, the community building and raising funds and awareness for a charity, it's just spiritually uplifting. And so I'm happy to do that. And I feel that it's fulfilling, my obligations as a good citizen. And I think it's something that can be infectious in a positive way. So if, we help give a hand up to the community in need and help our fellow businesses and uplift their spirits, hopefully that can be something that can be passed forward to others, and we'll continue to, just build up our neighborhoods and build up our communities positively.
I think that one of the comments you made, I agree with everything you said, but one of the comments I really like is this idea of how charitable giving and community involvement is infectious. And I've really thought about it sort of as personally one of these things that's sort of a muscle. And as you exercise it, the muscle becomes stronger. So as you're empathetic and as you're giving and as you're connecting and building up your community connections, your muscle gets stronger. And if you don't do it, the muscle gets weaker. And so therefore, it's helpful to do. But it's interesting in this time of COVID-19, where we're all been so incredibly well educated on the power of infections. It is ironic that you're using the term infectious to describe how your community involvement works. And I think that's the case, is that as you get involved in a community and interact with other people, it impacts multiples exponentially of other people to want to get involved in helping out the community. What about you, Rob? Why are you involved in this process?
I'm involved mainly because I think one of the things that I'm interested in life is able to give back. We have a software. We have over 5,800 nonprofits North America using our system. But one of the things that we want to always do is make sure that these nonprofits are not going out of business. These nonprofits have a way to retain some kind of a revenue that comes to them that can serve the community. Without food banks, without these businesses that are existing today, it's going to be very difficult for us to sort of move forward. So it's important that we support each other. It's important that we back each other up in this time of need. So my drive here is to really make a difference in terms of making sure that we all make it out of here alive and successful.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to have to get you to describe your website to me sometime. I am chairman of a civic advocacy organization that's a not-for-profit. Maybe your website can help me out. So that's great that you've got such an organization. What about you, Chandra? What has motivated you to get involved in this activity?
So, Brian, what I do is I teach coding to kids, that is between grade 1 and 8. So my intention was not to teach them something. I want them to be excited about programming, excited about something good. So as part of this, what I do is all the projects that I do revolve around doing something good for the community and food bank, things like that. That's one of the projects that I was doing in January, where Imran came and helped me out with talking about food bank to the students. So all the students, I want them to be motivated to do things like this. And the only way I can tell something or preach something is when I follow that. That's the reason I'm actually motivated to do something good to the community, so I can be a good example for the kids to follow. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
So this is fascinating. You're teaching coding to kids.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that. How do you teach coding to kids? Online, obviously, in today's environment?
Right now we are doing online, but I do have a small business in McLaughlin and Bristol area, in the Heartland area. So where kids come in, work with some robots, learn how to do programming, and also do robotics. So those are the two things, robotics and coding. We start anywhere between grade 1 to grade 8. So this is the age that they get really excited when they see things that are moving, that are doing good. So it's a continuous feedback for them. So whenever they see something good, they want to follow it. So that's how we get them excited.
And these kids that you're teaching coding, what are they doing? They developing websites, they developing apps, they developing programs. What are they doing?
That's where they will go. Actually, in future, what happens is like I said, it's up to grade 8. It's more about getting them excited. But by the end of the program, the kids would have actually developed websites, apps, and all those things also.
Unbelievable. That's fantastic. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate you telling us what motivates you. And maybe, Imran, can you tell us about the need? So you talked about the food bank is struggling right now and needs more money and no donations. Have they really been hurt? Have they really hurt during this COVID-19?
I think it's safe to say, Brian, it's not just the Mississauga Food Bank, but Eden Food for Change, the Compass, and all the other affiliates throughout Mississauga and Peel have seen a significant increase in the need to provide food security. And it's really unfortunate because as this pandemic continues to linger, this emergency situation that started off as a health emergency has really become an economic emergency. And it's difficult to say, Brian, how much longer people can sustain themselves before governments are able to give us the appropriate direction and have given us support to help us sustain ourselves through this uncertain time. But we're hopeful, and that's why we have to continue to look at that glass as half full and continue to do random acts of kindness such as HoodStrong. And there's so many others. We've been hearing feel-good stories from just couples in families in Mississauga sewing face masks and donating them to senior care facilities or long-term care facilities or hospitals. It's beautiful. There was a story of a young girl who was painting rocks, colorful rocks, and then leaving them on a doorstep of people and saying that if this cheered you up, then do something similar and paint a rock and leave it on somebody else's doorstep. I think those are the kind of things, Brian, that we can do, and it doesn't require necessarily technology like what we've collaborated on, but it's all about where it comes from, and it comes from good intentions and followed up by good actions.
Good intentions followed up by good actions. Well, I think that's a great recipe. And it's interesting because probably you, like I, have seen some of these pictures on American news primarily of massive lineups for food banks in the United States. And I think, I'm not sure exactly what the situation here is in Canada from a media standpoint, but it's like the poor and the people that are struggling and are in need of accessing food banks, I guess we just don't see them as readily. And so therefore it's not as obvious to us. And so therefore we don't maybe realize how important that need is. I remember I was doing a coldest night of the year or something like that event a year or two ago. And what they were describing is that homeless people in Toronto, sleep on sidewalks, and in Vancouver and Victoria, they sleep in parks. But in Mississauga, because you don't have warm sidewalks with grates and you don't have parks that are warm enough, what they do is sleep in cars. And I had to sleep in a car overnight. And it was something I'd never realized, that so many people sleep in cars overnight and are hungry, don't have access to a washroom. And it was a horrifying night for me, and I only did it once. And so I think that one of the things that you're doing, which is of big benefit, is you're making people more aware of the need within the community. And you know, it's not that I'm asking for people to be publicizing their problems, but I guess we just aren't as aware of them because we don't have the media images and we don't see them as readily.
Yeah, well spoken, Brian. I think we in Canada here are really blessed as a society when compared to other societies around the world. But that being said, there's still a great demand on the food banks, and they're doing an exceptional job. But they can't do it alone. And when we can do something as a collaboration between neighbors, between business community, and couple that with charity, I think it's a beautiful combination.
I think it is. So Rob, remind us if people are interested in buying a gift certificate, where do they go?
They need to go to HoodStrong.ca.
HoodStrong.ca.
www.hoodstrong.ca.
Okay.
You're gonna find it. Sign up. That's it.
And Chandra, if there's companies that want to put their name on the website and be part of this program, where do they go?
Same website. It's really easy to sign up. You can just click on start on the top or join register, and they can fill out a small form, and that lets them join. It's the easiest thing that you can do, and it's a great initiative to be part of.
And let's say another community, Hamilton or something like this, wants to start it but wants to have their Hamilton website. How do they do that?
It's everything is in there. Right now, we are not separating anything. They're all part of this. Right.
But in the future, if they want to separate out and we're going to do a Hamilton HoodStrong, how does that work?
It can be easily done. Like that's the power of my charity platform that we're using right now. That could be easily done, right, Rob?
Yeah. It's the process takes about 5 minutes, so we can just spin off another account for them.
Excellent. Well, Imran, Rob, Chandra, I really appreciate everything you're doing for the community. I think that HoodStrong.ca is an excellent program. I'm going to go and buy my gift certificates tonight, and I encourage all of the people that watch this video or listen to our show will consider it. And probably Imran, as you know, because you know me well, I've frequented a couple of those places. So actually buying a gift certificate is not going to be painful for me at all for a lot of the institutions that you've got there.
Wonderful.
Well, you'll be helping out the community by providing bridge financing, Brian. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Gentlemen, I really appreciate your time today. I apologize we were a little bit late. Have a great evening, and thank you so much for everything you do to make our hood strong, because you do it.
Thank you. Stay safe, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Nice talking to you.
Thanks, everybody. So that's Imran, Hasan, Rob Noor, and Chandra, and who?
Ande.
HoodStrong, building a stronger hood in Mississauga. Thanks very much. Stay with us. We're going to have some messages and come back with a little bit more. Good night. Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. That was I think, a really interesting idea that Imran and his friends have come up with. HoodStrong, HoodStrong.ca, and this idea that we talked about, that charitable giving and community involvement is either infectious and or a muscle, I think is really something that is worth thinking about. I do a talk called Community in the Power Co. And I have 10 powers of Co. And one of my powers of Co is compassion. And compassion, I really think, is one of those things that's like a muscle. And if you are empathetic and you have compassion for your fellow human beings, and you are compassionate and you start doing good deeds, it's like a muscle. It becomes a habit. It becomes something that you want to do all the time. And if you're not, if you're selfish and if you're arrogant and if you're not out there doing nice things for other people, it's a muscle that withers away and dies. And so I think that, getting involved, being compassionate, encouraging other people in your family and your friends to be compassionate and getting involved really is one of those things that we can do to help our society function in a far better manner. And it is a muscle that then grows. And then I like this idea that Imran talked about, that community involvement is infectious. And so in my my PhD doctoral studies for business, which I've been doing for the last couple of years, I've been studying social capital. And social capital is the capital, like a bank, of our reputations in the community. And as you make deposits by helping people and investing in efforts, it's like your bank account, your social bank account increases. Some people call it political capital, some people call it civic capital, some people call it social capital, some people call it your reputation. And other people then will make withdraws from that social capital account because they're asking for someone to help them do something or other here or something or other there, or help me with this business, or connect me to that person, or lend me some money or whatnot. And it's interesting because academics have really studied this, and they've come to this conclusion that you have to invest more in this bank account of social capital, of reputation, than you take out, for obvious reasons. And you think about it from a bank account standpoint, really what you should be doing is, if you use stuff out of that, you should be living off of the interest in that account, not the capital in that account, because if you're living off the capital in that account, using up the capital in that account, then the capital diminishes over time, and you're not going to have any bank account social capital left. And I like that idea, and it's interesting. And I've had my own challenges in my own work and in my own personal career. And my bank account, my social capital has diminished at times. And I've made some friends that frankly didn't turn out to be friends, that robbed me of some of my social capital. Some of it may have been my own fault. Some of it may have been because they took that capital out of my bank account. And so you've got to be conscious of your reputation. You got to be conscious of your image. You got to be conscious of your capital account from a reputational standpoint, from an interaction with other people, from a community involvement standpoint. And I think you got to invest in it. One of my good friends runs an organization called Real Human Beings, and he talks about you want to be referred to as a good guy or a great gal. And I think that's sort of one of the easiest descriptions of what that reputational capital is that people will say, hey, Brian Crombie, maybe not me, but hopefully me. He's a good guy, someone that you can do business with, someone that you can trust. Or XYZ is a great gal, someone that is believable and is honest and is ethical and is moral. And I think that those ideas, that you become a real human being, that you've got those authentic aspects to your life, are critically important in life, both from a business standpoint, but also from a community involvement standpoint. So what am I saying? I'm saying what Imran is doing and his friends are doing is wonderful. HoodStrong is an excellent effort. But I'm also saying, think about what he's doing as an example for what all of us can and should be doing. We should be investing in our community. We should be exercising our empathetic and compassion muscle on a regular basis. We should be paying it forward. We should be doing unto others as we would like to have them do unto us. The golden rule. And we should be giving more than we want to receive. And if we do all those things, we'll have a far better community and we'll have a far better life. At least that's what I think. Anyway, I really appreciate you joining me tonight on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. You can listen to me every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM, or stream me online at saga960am.ca, or you can catch all my podcasts and webcasts, videocasts on my website, briancrombie.com, either podcasts, /podcasts or /videocasts. And go sign up for HoodStrong.ca and buy a gift certificate for one of these local businesses that deserves a little bit of bridge financing, and 20% of it is going to go to the local food bank that desperately needs our support. Thanks. Good night.